Debbie, thank you so much. It's always such a tough act to follow, Debbie Lee, because it really puts what we're working for and what we believe in into perspective. And when you think about the sacrifices of all of the men and women who have granted us the freedoms that allow me to come on the stage and speak to you, allow me to speak out to hundreds of thousands of other people, you can't help but be inspired, and you can't help but be awed. I can't believe that I'm standing on this stage today. 3 years ago, I was not politically active. I was driving a forklift for a living on a graveyard shift at a plumbing supply warehouse. And I got so fed up and so angry that I knew I had to use my talents and my skills to make a difference and to change things. And one of the things that drove me to that was becoming a father. I have 3 beautiful young daughters, and they are the inspiration because I feel a threat that they might not grow up in America that my dad would recognize, or that my mom would recognize, and definitely not that my grandparents would recognize. Because this country is all about having the freedom of opportunity. I am so scared for my nation. I see the corruption in government. What we're dealing with is 2 generations of unprecedented corruption in this country. Absolutely 2 generations of unprecedented corruption, where the change in technology and media and television have changed the service that we ask of our politicians and our elected representatives from something that is pure and beautiful in democracy and representation to something that is horrible and ugly, and it's corruption, greed, and power. When you're willing to sell out for power and money, our system no longer works. And so it's up to people of my generation. It's up to you guys in the audience and all of the conservatives around this country. It is up to us to clean up the mess that has been left for us. And we have a huge challenge because the language of government is so, they've used the language of government. They've used this legislative ease and this legalese to convince us that we don't know as much as they do. That we don't have as much knowledge and experience, and our life experiences in small business and in family and in home doesn't have the same impact of the great and mighty Washington, D.C. or the state houses around this country. And I am here to say that I will not be intimidated by their language. I will not be intimidated by the fact that they already have power. And I will not be intimidated by their money and their greed and their corruption. In times of great strife, there's great opportunity. And what we've seen with the Tea Party movement and with other movements and people getting politically active, even if they don't directly affiliate with the Tea Party movement, is that we have new eyes and new ideas. And we can see the problems because we're coming from the outside. Because the incestuous nature of Washington, D.C. and government, and it's such a small circle, it's been collapsed to be so tiny that they don't see the corruption for the corruption that it is anymore. They just believe it's business as usual. And so it takes fresh eyes and fresh people and people who are willing to stand on principle. And you know what? 50 years from now, somebody's probably going to have to kick us out of office. Because we're probably going to stop singing. You need a constant cycle of turnover in order for our system to work. Now I want to talk about some of the specific solutions and some of the things that we can do to make this country great once again. And it starts with no longer letting politics be taboo. It's no longer acceptable to say that the only thing I won't talk about is religion and politics. Because politics has gotten out of control. The spending has gotten out of control. And people feel that in their wallets. They may not want to talk about politics. They may not understand yet how important it is. But they feel it. They sense it. And the Occupy, for as dumb as they are, and for as stinky as they are, and for as manufactured by the left, there are people there who are just misguided about what the solutions to the problems are. Because you can't change the board at Goldman Sachs, but you can change the politicians who grant them unlimited funds from the Federal Reserve. You can change the politicians who give money and eliminate moral risk from bad decisions. We have a government that is lending money to banks at 0.00025%, and then allowing them to take that money that we just lent to them and lend it back to us at 3%. So you want to know why the credit markets are opened up, why it's hard for small businesses to get loans? Because if you're given the choice between, on one side, a guaranteed 3% return versus taking a risk on some kid with a small business and a dream, you're going to take the guaranteed money. That's the manipulation of the free market system, but it doesn't come from corporations. And that's what Occupy has to understand. It doesn't come from the corporations. It comes from the government manipulating and putting their hands in the free market and manipulating the system to benefit those who contribute to their campaigns and put them in office and make them all very, very rich. The challenges that we face are enormous, but I believe in this country. When I listen to Debbie Lee's story, and I think about the patriots who have had to fight and die, I realize how blessed we are to be recognizing this now, before it gets worse. And so you have a decision to make. Will you stand up? Will you be active? Will you talk to people? Will you contribute to good causes? Or will you stand aside and let corruption reign because you feel that you just can't do anything about it? I've been blessed. I'm blessed to stand here. I've been blessed to travel this country. I've literally seen hundreds and thousands and probably even millions of patriots. I've had the blessing to speak in front of them. And what I can tell you is your energy is real. Your power is real. We still have rights in this country. And as long as we have those rights, we have an obligation to exercise them, because the other options are all unthinkable. I'm Dustin Stockton. I want to thank all of you for coming to listen. I know there's other events, and I'm so appreciative to have such a good crowd. And I want to thank Debbie Lee for introducing me, and I want to tell you thank you, because your involvement here is going to make a difference. And what you learn here, if you apply it correctly, listen to the people who have come before us, but don't be afraid to challenge what's already there, because that's what we have to do. That is our mission. Thank you all so much.